spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
To all of you who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 3rd year in a row.
So thank you so much for voting for us.
First, and hopefully there'll be a few more to come down the line.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's because of you that we're proud to be the People's Channel. It's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
Thank you very much, everybody. Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff. Well, hello and welcome to a very special Patrick Christys tonight.
We risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together.
So, Sir Keir Starmer has U-turned on his island of strangers comment. I'm not sure how we feel about that, but also this.
Must have a welfare system fit for the future, and the current model doesn't work, need to reform it, and that's what we will do.
And he's U-turned on benefits cuts as well, but... For some reason, he keeps telling us that we might be about to go to war soon. So also, you need to check your phones tonight because he might be messaging you, and I'll reveal all very shortly. In other news, is the lovey lefty Glastonbury Festival a national embarrassment? And...
energy security for good jobs, for lower bills, and indeed to tackle the climate crisis.
Grief. Ed Miliband sent an aide 10,000 miles to check out a luxury hotel for him. Tell me more about climate change, please, Ed. Tell me more. On my panel tonight, we have got everybody's fan favourite, businessman and activist, Adam Brooks. We have got broadcasting royalty, Christo Fupas. we've got GB News presenter Miriam Cates. And the Labour MP for Brent West, Barry Gardner. There we go. All right, well, I can tell everyone here is pumped up. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Sir Keir Starmer's flip-flop more than Gandhi. Next.
Very good evening to you from the newsroom. The top story just after 9 o'clock. We start in the United States, where Donald Trump is celebrating what he has described as a giant win after the Supreme Court there limited judges' powers to block presidential orders. It paves the way for his controversial birthright citizenship ban to take effect in just 30 days. In a briefing earlier, lasting over an hour, Donald Trump hailed the decision as a monumental victory for the Constitution and criticised radical left judges for undermining his powers. Here, meanwhile, predictions are growing that tax rises lie ahead in the autumn budget after Sir Keir Starmer's U-turn on welfare reforms. It's after a rebellion by more than 100 Labour MPs threatened to sink the bill. The move slashes up to £3 billion from the bill's expected savings. Some rebels have welcomed the concessions today, but others say they'll still vote against the bill over fears of a two-tier welfare system. Marcus Monzo has been jailed for life today for murdering 14-year-old schoolboy Daniel Andrin with a samurai sword in April last year. The judge called Daniel's injuries unsurvivable and blamed Monzo's prolonged drug use for his state of mind. The 37-year-old also injured 5 others, including 2 police officers, during a 20-minute rampage. He was found guilty of attempted murder, wounding with intent and carrying an offensive weapon. Well, speaking earlier outside the Old Bailey, Daniel's parents said their son had so much potential and was taken in a way that no family should have to endure.
No verdict or sentence can bring back our son Daniel, who we loved so dearly, but we are grateful that justice has been served. Daniel was taken from us in a way that no family should ever have to endure. His life had so much potential ahead. He was gifted academically, was kind, and had a generous spirit that touched everyone who knew him. We carry that light with us, even in this dark time.
And breaking news just into us from Teesside. We have, of course, been following the search for the missing 13-year-old Milo Kapila. Well, police there have just in the last few minutes confirmed that a body has now been found in the search for Milo, who was believed to have entered the River Tees late last night, where he was last seen alive. Police confirming the discovery of that body this evening. And while formal identification is at this stage still pending, we understand that Milo's parents have been informed and are being supported by specialist officers. In France, there has been an agreement today to take back some Channel migrants in a new one-in, one-out deal with the UK. For every illegal migrant arriving here, one will be returned across the Channel within weeks. It's the first agreement of its kind aimed at stopping repeat crossings and cracking down on smuggling gangs. The Home Secretary is expected to unveil that plan next week. And an amber heat health alert is in place across much of England as the country is facing a second heat wave of the summer so far. Temperatures are set to soar into the 30s this weekend, peaking on Monday when Wimbledon opens, and highs of 35 degrees are possible. That could make it the hottest start to the tournament on record. And festival goers at Glastonbury can expect dry skies, sunshine and potentially tropical nights as the heat wave rolls into the week. That's the news on GB News, a full roundup with the news at 10. But now it's over to Patrick.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Well, massive shout out straight away to my wonderful studio audience. So many people here. Tremendous to see you all. But look, Sir Keir Starmer has flip-flopped so much, I think we should start calling him Gandhi. Do you remember this lady?
To those waiting with bated breath for that favourite media catchphrase, the U-turn, I have only one thing to say. U-turn if you want to. The ladies not for turning.
Ah, now we're stuck with this guy. Right, we need to bring benefits down. A quarter of people in Britain are on some form of disability benefit. Apparently, 1 in 5 new cars are for the Motability scheme. And around 650,000 16 to 24-year-olds are also on benefits. So Sir Keir Starmer, well, he was going to do it, wasn't he? He really was.
Must have a welfare system fit for the future, and the current model doesn't work. It desperately needs reform. It leaves people trapped and not able to get into work, and so we need to reform it, and that's what we will do.
Big tough guy, wasn't he? That was 72 hours ago, by the way. 72 hours ago. Then what happened? Oh, well, Diane Abbott wasn't happy. She wasn't happy. So he's U-turned, hasn't he? Now, if you're on PIP, apparently you're basically still going to get it. And if you're on universal credit for your health, then apparently you're still going to get that as well. And it could cost us around £4.5 billion, which means what? Your taxes are going up, aren't they? They're all going up. Surely they're going up. It's another U-turn. Where are your principles? Where is your spine, Sir Keir? In fact, here at GB News, we came into possession of a leaked X-ray from Sir Keir Starmer's last medical appointment. I think we can show you it, can we? No spine. Absolutely no spine there, is there? It's a real shame for the guy. It's a real shame. He's just made out of jelly. Anyway, do we think that Sir Keir Starmer is too weak to lead? Let's get the thoughts of my panel and my live studio audience. Barry's not happy. Barry's not happy. OK, there we go. Right, OK, do we have a chap straight away on the front row here? What's your name, sir, and where are you from?
I'm Greg from Norfolk.
Greg from Norfolk, take it away. Do you think he's too weak to lead? Is this the beginning of the end?
Yes, I do. I think, given the recent YouGov poll, I think it's more than the beginning of the end for two-tier Keir and the Labour Party.
Right.
And maybe the results show the importance of a potential tie-up between Mr Farage and the Tories.
OK, you've rolled quite a lot into one there, sir, so thank you very much. Adam, do you think Sir Keir Starmer's too weak to lead?
Yes, I think he's possibly the worst Prime Minister we've had in decades. The man won't answer...
Liz Truss?
He won't answer a simple question when asked. He deflects. He lies, continually lies. And, I mean, with this benefit bill, he risks a leadership contest as well, and possibly, if it goes that wrong, a general election. We can all hope, but it's very doubtful. But, look, we have 1.2 million foreigners in this country claiming benefits. That's 12 billion a year. Now, if they stop that overnight, we'd be much better off as a country. Instead of trying to attack genuine disabled or people that cannot work, we need to get people that can work back into work.
I think this is one of the points, isn't it? There are huge numbers of people who genuinely do need support, who do need benefits, who are disabled, all of that, and it's not knocking any of those people, but I do think there is a general perception that there are also millions of people on the take and that we need to do something about that. Miriam, we'll come to you on this. Was he on to something? If he'd just stuck to his guns on these welfare and benefits reforms, I mean, presumably you would have backed what he wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the reforms went far enough. They were just minor cuts rather than a total reform of the whole system. And there's some very obvious things that we should do, like end telephone appointments for getting benefits for mental health. We should go back to face-to-face. In fact, we probably shouldn't have incapacity benefits for mental health, not low level. So I think he didn't go far enough in many ways. But I don't think it is as simple as he's too weak to lead. I think that the problem that the Labour government have got is exactly the same problem as the Conservative government have got, which is that when a Prime Minister presents something that's unpopular and difficult, which, let's face it, all good decisions are now going to have to be, MPs say, oh, can't vote for that, my constituents won't like it, and suddenly the national interest goes out the window, their personal and constituency interest comes first, and you never, ever get through the difficult things that are good for the country. And this is a cross-party problem.
OK, right, so before we go to Christo, maybe someone else as well who'd like to make a point, I'll get you to come back to it. If only we had a serving Labour MP on the panel. Oh, hello, Barry. How are you? OK, so would you have rebelled?
I didn't sign the letter, and I had a conversation with my whip this morning. They're the people who try and get pressured onto you to make you vote the right way. And we talked through what was going. Let's actually try and say what the bill was proposing to do. Okay. And then see if people think it was fair. Because there are different sorts of benefits in this country, and the PIP ones, which are the ones that a lot of people have talked about, the personal independence payments, they're not actually means tested, right? They're needs tested. And what this would have done is it would have taken away those benefits from 370,000 existing claimants up to £4,500 a year. Now, this is about fairness in our society. Why? Because disabled people actually have increased costs to live. Sometimes it's their heating costs, sometimes it's their transport costs, sometimes it's their sanitary pads and the needs that they have for that. These are all things, and what we as a society do is we say, you know what, we don't want you to be disadvantaged by your disability. And therefore, we will assess your need and we'll give you money to pay for those extra costs that you have as a disabled person. Now, that was the bulk of what this was about. There were other aspects of it. We can go into those if you want to, Patrick. But you see, I actually think this is a really important question about the sort of society that we want to be. Do we want to be the sort of society that says, I'm all right, Jack, and therefore I'm not going to pay my taxes to ensure that you are able to live in the same way that I am?
But Barry, why is it the taxpayer's responsibility and not your family and your community? Because it used to be, before the welfare state, the job of government was security, armed forces, make sure infrastructure works and make sure you have law and order. It was the family and the community's job to look after people who...
But we are the community.
We're not. It's the faceless taxpayer, and that's why people rip off the faceless taxpayer.
Were you in favour or not, then?
harmed.
I didn't. From your answer, I didn't get whether you would have voted for it or not.
I think the government made a big mistake in these cuts. A big mistake. And I've said that publicly, and I've said, in fact, I said it on this programme before. But I'm pleased now that actually the government has said that it's going to look at it again, because, you know, there was no consultation with disabled people when they brought these proposals.
Well, there weren't any consultation with the people from the Chagos Islands either, but you can't have that.
Not much consultation.
Patrick, great line, cheap shot. But you also know that I happen to agree with you on the Chagos deal. So you know, let's be fair on this.
Why do they keep doing this? I don't like Barry. It's not just. You're right, Chagos. This sort of really badly thought through, but they just sort of shove it through anyway. This, you know, I don't want to live in a society where disabled people end up suffering. I really don't. But it can't be right that there are that many young people between 16 and 24 who are unable to work because of their mental health. That has got to be reassessed.
Let me assess that, because, look, let's look at...
I don't want you to assess my mental health.
One second, Barry.
I'm sure you don't.
Barry, just one question.
Yeah, sure.
Have we made it too easy not to work in this country? Yes or no?
Well,
yes or no? No, like, long answer. Yes or no?
Well, if it were a simple answer, and if it weren't a complex question...
That's the problem with politics. We've made it too easy not to work in this country.
No. You see? It's a great soundbite, but now let's listen to the facts.
It's also true. I've actually got a graph in front of me that shows if you claim PIP universal credit, you make...
If you don't want an answer to the question, that's fine. Right, you can all pile on.
No. Let's not all pile. It's not fair. Barry does a good job every week, Barry. Thank you. So no, come on, give me your answer, and then Miriam can get a graph out.
The point is...
Sorry, that sounded a lot better in my head. I'm sorry. No, I didn't. That's a stretch. Anyway, go on.
The point is that most of these benefits are not work-related. It's not a question, and that's why I said they're needs-based. So it's not a question that it's about work or not work. This isn't about that. And I support all the parts of the reform package that was in the Green Paper, which were about saying, look, you should have the right to try, because a lot of people who are at the moment on the old system, they're on permanent disability.
Okay.
Now, some of them think, actually, I might be able to work. And this is where I do agree with you, Adam, OK? They think, I might be able to work. But trouble is, with the system as it is, if I go back into work and I can't manage it, I then get penalised if I say, no, I'm sorry, I can't manage it, I've got to go back onto benefits.
The fact that we've also got things, as maybe you're about to point out, but that, 1 in 5 new cars in Britain is going to someone on the Motability scheme. Well, you just drive around, you see, don't you, like, with, I mean this with absolute respect, but you see some quite, like, downtrodden areas in the country, and then there's, like, a brand new Merc on the drive, and you think, well, where's that come from? Well, it's come from us, actually, as it turns out. We're paying for so-and-so to have a Merc and for their partner to have a BMW as well. I mean, it can't be right.
No.
Most disabled people in this country are not driving around in
The problem is that everybody agrees that people who are disabled and have health problems through no fault of their own should be supported. But that doesn't mean it's the taxpayer's responsibility to support them. What's family for and what's community for? The state, there are jobs that only the state can do. Army, law and order, infrastructure, but there are jobs that family and community must do. And the problem is now that we all pay so much in tax to support people we have never met and will never meet before we can support our own families, that there's now this deep sense of unfairness that is actually breaking down people's solidarity with the state as a concept.
All right, we've got to go. Tell you what, this has been the liveliest start we've had for a couple of weeks. I'm enjoying this. Thank you very much, everyone.
By the way, I'm still Team Truss as well. I've not forgotten your dig there. I am Team Truss. And I'm going to come back to you on that one.
OK, all right. Thank you very much, sir, for getting the ball rolling on the front row. Be more like him. Ask some questions. So, I know why you all came. It's not just for me. It's not just for the panel. It's time for the latest Great British Giveaway. Whey! Has anyone entered it? Yes. Oh, God, all right. 54,321 quid in cash. Talking to people we've never met, here's Hayley Sparks, all the details.
We're here at Downhall in Essex to enjoy the finer things in life. And it's your chance to win £54,321 in cash. It's like having an extra £1,000 in your bank account each week for a whole year, which means that you'd be able to indulge in treats whenever you wanted to. That extra cash each week could send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing this year to enable you to sit back, relax and do nothing. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
We have got loads of top topics for you. Coming up next, the Attorney General, Lord Hermer, comes out. He says any suggestion of two-tier justice is disgusting. Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? Because he's in charge of justice, right? And does anyone here feel as though there is a bit of two-tier justice going about?
Yeah.
OK, well, maybe Lord Hermer would want to watch this. It's Patrick Christys tonight. We are only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome. especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Okay, welcome back and welcome back to my wonderful live studio audience. Does everyone in this room feel as though there is a bit of two-tier justice going about? Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the dominant political topics of the year has been these accusations of two-tier justice. Quite a lot of examples of it. Some people getting lenient treatment for the sake of social cohesion, with other groups getting absolutely piled on for seemingly quite minor offences. For example, let's have a little look at what Sir Keir Starmer said when he was probed about a national inquiry into the rape gangs back in January.
Politicians who sat in government for many years, calling for inquiries because they want to jump on a bandwagon of the far right.
Oh, and should we just remind ourselves of what he said about the old disorder in the summer, shall we? Go on.
I won't shy away from calling it what it is. Far-right thuggery. I want you to know that this violent mob do not represent our country, and we will bring them to justice.
OK, so what's been going on? Well, grooming gang perpetrators, they were let out early, believe it or not, whilst, of course, the obvious case in all of these stories, these situations, is Lucy Connolly, still serving 31 months for what was essentially a silly post, really, wasn't it? Which has now been deleted. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up again is because Lord Herman, the Attorney-General, I quite liked it when I didn't know anything about Lord Herman. I quite liked it when I'd never met the guy or heard about the guy. The world was a brighter place. Alas, we are where we are. Lord Herman exists in the political sphere now. He's come out and said that claims of two-tier justice in Britain are, quotes, disgusting, and that politicians using the phrase need to consider the, quotes, dangers that they were posing to the UK's essential institutions. And as Miriam Case rightly pointed out to me in the break there, apparently he also said, didn't he, that he's not a lefty, he's a progressive. Well, that's good, isn't it? That's nice.
That just brought up a little bit of bile. I think I need my Sadiq,
Sadiq bucket. Will live on in infamy. Adam, do you think Lord Herman's right here, then, that he's saying that, you know, we've got two-tier justice is disgusting and it's dangerous to suggest?
I'm going to be really disgusting now, because we've got a two-tier Prime Minister, we've got a two-tier government, we've got two-tier policing and we've got a two-tiered justice system. That is clear. There's so much evidence there. If you're not trans, if you're not a migrant, or you're not a raving lefty activist, you're going to be treated harsher by the courts in this country. This guy, you know, I can't even bear to look at him. He defends the indefensible. He's defended Al-Qaeda operatives, Shamina Begum, Jerry Adams. He's taken the UK to court. This man doesn't like Britain, and he's in such a powerful position. We're in trouble, big trouble in this country.
You're snarling a bit there, Christys.
No, I don't mind so much, and you're probably going to absolutely, you know, pillory me for this, but if you are a lawyer doing a job and you have to represent someone you don't like, do I like it? No, but I kind of...
You've got to be a special breed of person to defend these people.
There's a theme, though. You do have to wonder at some point, why do they keep coming to you?
Yeah,
you know?
Maybe that's a fair point. But Hermer the Squirmer, as I'm now calling him, I do think he's trying to squirm out of any kind of accountability, because one of the brilliant things about being in Britain is that you can debate the kinds of sentences that people have. You can say, I don't think that's fair, I think that's perfectly fair. So he is saying, and if you read all of his comments, he's basically saying that we're undermining the whole of the criminal justice system, those people who question it with two-tier. And to say that within sort of a week or 10 days of a massive grooming gangs inquiry where you don't get a bigger example of two-tier justice than people who groomed young white girls not facing any justice, are they thick? I mean, they're thick, aren't they? Or do they not know that we will join the dots?
I think it's quite offensive, and it makes me question a little bit about how out of touch the Attorney-General really is. And, of course, the killer point here is that he was appointed by Keir Starmer. He's a great mate of his. He gave the toast at Keir Starmer's, at the time, it was Queen's Counsel ceremony. You know, so he's ideologically aligned, one would assume.
Well, I mean, it'd be a bit of a stretch to call him a patriot, wouldn't it, I think? But I mean, you know, obviously he wouldn't be my pick for Attorney-General, but I think the wider question of, do we have two-tier justice? I think when you look at the individual cases and has the law been followed, have judges followed convention, it's hard to criticise individual cases. But when you put them all together, there is this deep sense of unfairness that people can continue to commit shoplifting or much worse crimes, sexual crimes, the grooming gangs, and be released early or given leniency. And then people like Lucy Connolly can be locked up for a tweet and charged under inciting racial hatred, which was a law that's meant for something far more serious than what she did. So I think the problem is that the sense of unfairness is undermining the judiciary, even if it's in each individual case. Judges aren't doing anything wrong, and I think that's a big problem. And actually, I think the fundamental problem is our laws, things like the Equality Act and the ECHR. They've actually embedded laws that shouldn't be there in the first place, but then are up against proper criminal law that should be properly judged.
But also, I think he wants to shut down debate. That's also there by saying, you know, you are disgusting by asking these questions. It was a Nazi a few weeks ago. I think that's outrageous. It's shutting down the free speech.
Barry, I do wonder whether Lord Hermer has got far too used to living in his own little echo chamber where everyone has told him that he's the best thing since sliced bread, and actually people are sick of being called Nazis and disgusting, and they just don't really care anymore.
I don't care. I don't. I don't care for these people. They're not us. They're not one of us.
Do you think he's right fundamentally in what he's saying, Barry?
Let me try and say where I think we all agree. We all agree that two-tier justice, where it happens, is wrong. OK? And it doesn't matter whether it was JJ sitting there a few weeks ago and he said, look, black people in this country are more likely to be arrested, they're more likely to be this, that and the next thing, and more likely to get stiffer sentencing for the same crimes. That's wrong. So is it the other way round, OK? When you're talking about people who have committed heinous offences like grooming gangs and they're not getting sentenced. On the issue of early release, of course, everybody is entitled to be up for parole, and so early release in and of itself is not an indication. But if they're getting early release where others similarly are not, that's two-tier justice and it's wrong. And I do think you're right to suggest that there is a fear that seems to be being expressed of debating this openly. Given that we all agree on the fundamental that we want one justice system that treats everybody the same, right, irrespective of any of their different characteristics, but if you've done the crime, you should be treated the same way, essentially, is where we're all at.
Just last year, there was a man that went into a Jewish supermarket in North London, waving a huge kitchen knife, shouting anti-Semitism and threatening staff. This man waved that knife at the shopkeepers. He was aggressive. He got a suspended sentence, Barry. We have people roaming our streets of this country who have been caught multiple times with knives and they are getting suspended sentences. The judges could put them away. That is why I want mandatory 5-year sentences for carrying a knife. Our justice system is broken in this country, and all that's happening is the most aggressive and the nastiest people in society are getting stronger on our streets.
And why doesn't he say? What he should have said was, you know what, I see that people have a debate about two-tier justice, and I think that's really important, and I think that kind of debate is fundamental in a free society, rather than calling everyone disgusting.
Look, I think it's arrogance. He might disagree with me here and no doubt will defend himself, but I think there's a certain type of person in this country that you can trace a lot back to the fact that they never got into Oxbridge. That's what it is. Because a load of their mates will have done, and they will have felt, telling you, and they will have felt as though they should have done. When they've gone into the professional world, they'll have a
Which was your alma mater, Patrick?
A massive chip on the shoulder.
I didn't go to
No, I know, but this is...
I went to Leeds Poly. What does that mean?
Christoph, no one expecting you to go there. That's the difference. I'm only joking. Right, OK, look, can we go? Well, OK, here we go. Where have we got some people from here? We've got some people from Cheshire, haven't we, in? Yes, hello. Where have we got... someone from Norfolk? You were from Norfolk. Glasgow.
Anybody from Oxford?
Yes, good. Anyone from Oxford or Cambridge? Right, so my point here is that, well, there's a report out that says that Britain's cities have fallen. Can we ever get them back? Has your town got better or worse, do you think, in the last 10 years? Worse. Generally worse? Generally worse? Well, there we go. We'll try and keep it light when we come back. Stay tuned.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Temperatures are likely to be 5 to 10 degrees above the average for June across parts of France and Spain. Very hot conditions persisting here. A bit of a breeze, but also temperatures above average in the Canaries, getting over 30 degrees for the next few days. Highs over 32 across Italy. Plenty of hot and sunny weather here. A few showers across mainland parts of Greece, but most of the Greek islands have turned a little bit cooler with some pleasant sunshine here and plenty more sunshine to come around the Mediterranean into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office. Here on GB News, the weekend we'll see some pretty warm conditions, particularly so across the south and east of England. Humid nights and high temperatures by day. It's not going to be hot and sunny everywhere, however. There will be cloud and rain at times across the north from these weather fronts. They've been bringing pretty wet conditions across the highlands today. This zone of rain slowly trickling southwards. Most of the rain overnight will be over hills and around coasts in the west. Many central and eastern parts will stay dry. Still quite breezy out there as well, and it is going to be a pretty warm night with temperatures holding up in the mid to high teens. Overall, a pretty grey start then to Saturday, but the rain will be clearing away to the south, so the Highlands in particular having a drier, brighter day. Further south, we'll start off with a lot of cloud. We should start with some sunny spells over the east, but quite grey and murky for southwest England and Wales, particularly around coast. And again, some drizzly rain over the hills. Maybe a bit of a damp start for Belfast and Edinburgh, but that rain is edging away to the south, and much of northern Scotland having a far brighter day tomorrow. Still quite blustery. In fact, if anything, the wind's strengthening further over the far northwest, where there will be 1 or 2 showers. But through the central belt of Scotland, the east of Northern Ireland, that rain should edge to the south. So some sunny spells coming through. I suspect Cumbria may well stay dull with rain and drizzle, especially over the hills and mountains here on and off through the day. But for many places, it'll brighten up, and certainly over the Midlands, East Wales and Eastern England, those temperatures jumping up, getting into the high 20s, low 30s is possible. Sunday, similar temperatures across the east, a very warm, humid start. Again, a lot of cloud for Cumbria, some drizzly rain here in the Isle of Man, and maybe some drizzle at times for Northern Ireland. So cloudier skies here. Generally fine for Scotland, but with increasing cloud, with increasing sunshine in the south, more humidity, temperatures again getting up to 30 degrees. Hotter still across the southeast, in particular on Monday.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. You lot are on fire tonight. I absolutely love it. So, look, let's get to grips with an issue that affects all of us because we all live somewhere, and I think most of us feel as though that place has probably got a little bit worse over the last few years. So, what's the beating heart of a confident nation? Britain's cities, and especially London in some cases as well, I must say, are now unrecognisable. So, a new piece in the Daily Mail today highlights how London in particular is becoming unrecognisable. I personally would branch that out to various other cities as well. And what's driving this apparent decline? Well, it's not just London, is it? Across Britain's cities. And if you look at your screens now, if you're watching us on telly at home, you've got the Birmingham bin crisis, haven't you? There you go. They're all still there, aren't they? Bins piling up in Birmingham neighbourhoods. And I think as well, returning to the capital city, it's the infamous Park Lane, isn't it? The camp for lovely members of the Bulgarian and Romanian community. And that is, of course, Billionaires Row. It's the top of the Monopoly board, pretty much, isn't it? Not anymore. Not anymore. It looks more like Skid Row. So, just yesterday, just yesterday, it was reported that inhabitants there were defecating in the middle of it. So, but I have apologised for that. So, anyway. But crime is up, community is down, and the sense of shared identity all but gone. Mass immigration, economic decline, and cultural fragmentation are being blamed. Before we go to the panel on this, before I went to the break, I said, didn't I, look, you know, does everyone feel as though their town's getting a little bit worse or whatever? And we've got lovely Fiona, who's in the audience, who's going to stand up and just say, so what is it? You're from, by the way, can I just say, a brilliant part of the world, near my neck of the woods. So where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Warrington in Cheshire. I've lived there with my family for over 25 years, and I can honestly say it feels like a very different place. So I used to be very proud that I lived in a nice part of Cheshire, and I've seen all sorts of things, whether it's the litter on the street, the poor manners, you know, the lack of opportunities for youngsters, even the closed shops now that are shuttered, or it's vaping shops, or it's barbers, and we all know what they say about Turkish barber shops, and, you know, even the homeless. And just generally, the cultural fragmentation. Yeah, it just feels like a different place. And it worries me. Now, I've got a daughter who's 21, and the thought that in another 5-10 years, it's really going to be unrecognisable, and I'm not sure I want to live there anymore.
Well, thank you for coming on and expressing that, because I tell you what, there'll be people at home now in loads of places like Warrington who will be saying, you could be describing where I live. So thank you very much for saying all of that. How do we sort this out, Miriam?
Good question. I mean, it is absolutely right. Our cities have changed and got worse. And when you go to foreign cities like, I don't know, Bordeaux, or I went to Budapest earlier, and it's so, early this year, it's so clean. It makes you feel really jealous. I did go to Brussels, and that's a total dump. So if you want to feel better about London, go to Brussels. It's absolutely horrible.
Brussels is ridiculous.
I think there's two overarching problems. One is mass immigration that has changed the face of our city. It's changed the culture. I think it's quite hard to put into words why it makes us feel uneasy. I think basically it's because we have this deep human need to feel at home, and we don't feel at home when we're hearing lots of different languages and seeing lots of different cultures. It's just unsettling. But then we've also got the kind of post-industrial white working class towns that are so poor. And I think we just don't really recognise in Britain how geographically unequal we are. London and the south are very, very rich on a European level. The rest of the country is pretty poor. Places like Blackpool, some of our seaside towns, are incredibly poor, poorer than anywhere in Eastern Europe. And that is a massive factor in this too. And I think if you live in London, if you live in the South East, it's quite hard to imagine just how poor some of those parts are.
And I think that in London, especially, London is over. I'm sorry to say it, and I love this city. I remember moving to this city 25 years ago, and I always wanted to live in London. But the social contract in London is broken. There is rubbish absolutely everywhere, strewn everywhere. There are e-bikes, e-scooters that just like come hurtling through red lights or on pavements. You have to dive out of the way. Crime is out of control. People are not safe walking home. And meanwhile, we've got the repellent-run Sadiq Khan telling us, oh, well, here's a cycle lane. Oh, let's bring in a ULEZ, solving none of the problems that actually are really bothering Londoners, instead solving problems saying, oh, look over here at something I've done. You know, Park Lane, your perfect example. Like, there is literally a ghetto in the middle of Park Lane. And what do we get on Park Lane? A cycle lane 10 feet away from another cycle lane. And that's what Sadiq Khan actually concentrates on. So it's not only a failure of cohesion, it's not only a failure of the social contract where people feel enabled to commit crimes because no one cares, it's actually our politicians that don't want to solve those difficult problems.
Fair enough. I think for Sadiq Khan, it doesn't really matter what's going on. It's been a good day. He's managed to hoist the trans flag over a building and he just goes over and he's happy about that. But what I want to know is, if you're at home, you're listening at home, you're driving in your car or whatever you're doing, let us know about your hometown. How has it changed? Because here at GB News, this is specifically about London in a way. I don't really like that. Most of our viewers watching tonight will not be in London. And fair enough, good for you, because by the sounds of it, it's absolutely awful. So we would like to hear from you, your hometown. Get in touch with us, gbnews.com/your say. I would like to come, pay you a visit and show me around, show me if there's been a decline or otherwise. Adam, before we go to Barry,
one thing you've got to remember, though, there's 10 million people in London. That's a hell of a lot of the population. What gets me is if there was a state visit or some amazing occasion in London, they would clear the graffiti, they would clear the tents off of Park Lane, and they would make London look great for a few days. Why don't they do that? I don't understand. Look, we've got a reported rape every hour in London, a phone theft every 6 minutes, knife crime every 30 minutes. Sometimes when I leave here, and it'll be late tonight, I'm going to get on the tube, and I could be the only white face on that carriage. And that's not racist, that's an observation. London has really changed. And, you know, I can see why I think it's 56% of women asked do not feel safe in London. I would think the 44% have never been to London, because I would say it should be more like 80% or 90%.
Right. Barry, general decline among towns and cities in Britain. Do you accept it or not?
I don't think I can dispute what Christo feels. But
about Sadiq Khan, brilliant, he agrees.
What I can do is dispute the statistics. And, you know, this is since May 2016, which is when Sadiq Khan came into office. Knife crime with injury for younger people under age 25 is down by 21%. Violence with injury is down 13%. Homicide is down 23%. Burglary is down 26%. Gun crime with lethal barrel discharge is down 43%. The latest ONS figures show that overall the violent crime with injury rate is lower in London than in the rest of England and Wales. Now,
nonsense.
Well, you say it's nonsense.
Lived experience.
These are the
nonsense.
Statistics, and they're the ONS statistics.
Nonsense.
Okay, so you can say it doesn't feel like that, and that's why I said, well, maybe it doesn't feel like that. And I know there are places in London where you can feel pretty unsafe, and I'm not disputing that. But what I am giving you are the facts.
Knife crime has not gone down since 2016. That's a lie.
If all we do is trade our emotions and how we feel, then actually we're not debating things.
They're different crime rate. You're talking about violence, and I don't, you know, I'm not looking at the statistics. I don't dispute your statistics at all.
Well,
but when we're talking about
Adam does.
Yeah, but
knife crime has risen since 2016.
We're talking about different crimes. You're talking about sexual crime. We're talking about mobile phone theft. We're talking about shoplifting. They have gone up Some crimes might have gone down, but those low-level crimes that people experience all the time, and much more serious ones, have gone up.
People don't bother reporting a lot now.
All right, yeah, well, I do actually wonder if that is part of it as well. If the police don't bother turning up, how on earth can it be a crime? But anyway, right, coming up next, Glastonbury's back. It's nice to see that none of you are there. You're all here. Thank you very much. And it's more of a lefty middle-class fluff fest than ever before. God, I'm glad I got that out, because that could have gone badly with that turn of phrase. Anyway, has the festival become a national embarrassment? Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello, everyone. Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Jupiter. Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Yes, Glastonbury is once again happening, and many, including commentator extraordinaire Tom Slater, are getting sick of it. They're calling it a national embarrassment. So it was once hailed as the symbol of British counterculture. The event now draws, well, OK, some celebrities, some political figures, and by that I largely mean Greta Thunberg and Jeremy Corbyn, and then tens of thousands of fans. I mean, we've seen all sorts at this particular Glastonbury. I mean, even the daughter of the guy who founded it, who, by the way, big lefty, it's a real shame that he might swerve £80 million worth of inheritance tax, isn't it? Oh, gosh, you know, it's almost like there's one rule for them and whatever. Anyway, here she is saying that everyone is welcome. I think we've got a clip of it. No, we don't have a clip of it. Anyway, she said everyone's welcome, right? So, which is interesting, actually, because if we have a little look, there's a museum for Palestine this year, so there you go. So, brilliant. I do wonder whether or not if someone had an Israeli flag, they would feel that welcome, but there you go. I mean, there's all sorts going on as well, isn't there? And they had a sign that says, that they don't believe in borders. Well, it turns out, at Glastonbury, they do. It's got the tightest border of anywhere in Europe. There you go. I don't see any borders, do you? Well, if you're at Glastonbury, you do. They've got watchtowers, they've got dogs that are trained to bite people, they've got a police pen. It's impossible to penetrate it if you haven't got a ticket. Glastonbury's got the hardest border anywhere in Europe. So do we think Glastonbury's national embarrassment?
Could we put them in charge of immigration control?
Yes, do it. If Keir Starmer said, I'm following the Glastonbury model for borders, then it'd be fine, wouldn't it? Why doesn't he just do that?
I mean, I have absolutely not the least desire to go to a festival like that, sleep in a tent, use a chemical toilet and have to wade through mud and middle-class lefties in order to see someone who should have retired 30 years ago singing out of tune on a stage which is named after a pyramid. No, thank you very much indeed. I would rather stay at home.
How do I follow that? Look, it seems to me, I've actually got friends that have gone to Glastonbury today and they're not lefties, but it seems to be a massive bunch of lefties, well-off lefties, having a party, you know. Unfortunately, we've got anti-capitalists there, load of socialists, Palestine activist groups, anti-Semitic public figures.
So anti-capitalists, they've paid like £200.
Right, hold on, we've got trans activists, climate nutters. Not for me. Not for me at all.
Has anyone here been to Glastonbury? No one. No one's been.
And the flags. Why have we all got flags? When people, why would you think I've got to pack a flag? I've got to pack a 20-foot flag
Trans
when
flag.
I'm seeing Kylie or whatever. Why would you think that?
Barry, are you going to go to bat for Glastonbury here? Is it not just a middle-class woke fest?
I've never been to Glastonbury. In fact, I've only been to one festival, I think, in my entire life. But look, these are people, they're having a good time, yeah. They're not doing anybody any harm, they're enjoying their music. Much of it, I'm sure, some of us like, some of us don't like. Fine, let them get on with it.
How do they shower? I mean, sanitary facilities.
Do you know what?
Why do you care so much?
I care a lot about hygiene. I care a lot about their hygiene.
But you don't
I
have to
don't
get in
like
there.
it. Yes, but I still have to share the world with these people. I saw a few on the train. I don't like it.
Look, I agree.
Are you saying
this is society. He's caring for them, you see.
If they like it so much, why don't they go and live on the tent city on Park Lane? They would get the experience for none of the money.
Well, yeah. It's a hypocrisy for me, really.
When did these concerts suddenly, or these festivals suddenly become so political? You know, if we looked a few years ago, we had hundreds of thousands of people chanting Jeremy Corbyn's name. If you looked at that, you'd think, oh my God, he's got a chance to get in here. They are not representative of this country at all, and that is clear by the sorts of people that are there en masse.
But I mean, neither's the Conservative Party conference, but no one's going to ban it. I mean,
I don't want it banned.
I don't know. There's a few people who...
You are too glamorous for Glastonbury. I would demand that you do not go there
I
ever.
have no interest in going, but I don't see why it shouldn't be allowed to go ahead.
You can go glamping, of course. Right.
No such thing. That's a contradiction in terms.
Coming up at 10 p.m, Sir Keir Starmer has reversed on the island of strangers comment. Does he really want to tackle immigration, do anything? I strongly suspect not. Does anyone here trust him on immigration? No. All right, see you in a sec.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office. Here on GB News, the weekend will see some pretty warm conditions, particularly so across the south and east of England. Humid nights and high temperatures by day. It's not going to be hot and sunny everywhere, however. There will be cloud and rain at times across the north from these weather fronts. They've been bringing pretty wet conditions across the highlands today. This zone of rain slowly trickling southwards. Most of the rain overnight will be over hills and around coasts in the west. Many central and eastern parts will stay dry. dry. Still quite breezy out there as well. And it is going to be a pretty warm night with temperatures holding up in the mid to high teens. Overall, a pretty grey start then to Saturday, but the rain will be clearing away to the south, so the Highlands in particular having a drier, brighter day. Further south, we'll start off with a lot of cloud. We should start with some sunny spells over the east, but quite grey and murky for southwest England and Wales, particularly around coast. And again, some drizzly rain over the hills. Maybe a bit of a damp start for Belfast and Edinburgh, but that rain is edging away to the south, and much of northern Scotland having a far brighter day tomorrow. Still quite blustery. In fact, if anything, the wind's strengthening further over the far northwest, where there will be 1 or 2 showers. But through the central belt of Scotland, the east of Northern Ireland, that rain should edge to the south, so some sunny spells coming through. I suspect Cumbria may well stay dull with rain and drizzle, especially over the hills and mountains here on and off through the day. But for many places, it'll brighten up, and certainly over the Midlands, East Wales and Eastern England, those temperatures jumping up, getting into the high 20s, low 30s is possible. Sunday, similar temperatures across the east, a very warm, humid start. Again, a lot of cloud for Cumbria, some drizzly rain here in the Isle of Man, and maybe some drizzle at times for Northern Ireland, so cloudier skies here. Generally fine for Scotland, but with increasing cloud, with increasing sunshine in the south, more humidity, temperatures again getting up to 30 degrees, hotter still across the southeast, in particular on Monday.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
£54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. Oh my God. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dan.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
To all of you who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 3rd year in a row. So thank you so much for voting for us.
First, and hopefully there'll be a few more to come down the line.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's because of you that we're proud to be the People's Channel. It's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
Yes, hello everybody! Good evening, how are you? Do I do it this time? There we go. Hello sir, how are you? Lovely to see you. Thank you very much for coming everybody. Yes, yes, brilliant. All right, well, your Friday night really kick-starts now. It is 10 p.m. Hello and welcome to a very special Patrick Christys tonight with my live studio audience on the show.
We risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together.
Sir Keir Starmer today U-turned on his Island of Strangers speech.
Change, 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 change.
The only thing he's changed is his mind. Also tonight...
ساعت الان.
Do you think it's a bit weird how we keep being told prepare for war, and check your phones later tonight, everybody, because Sir Keir Starmer might be about to send you a message, and I'll reveal everything very shortly. I want to know, though, would you fight for Britain? Would anyone here fight for Britain? No? Grief. Right, OK, OK. Well, if you're watching, Vladimir, then, you know, anyway. Right. And...
Energy security for good jobs, for lower bills, and indeed to tackle the climate crisis.
Ed Miliband says that there's a climate emergency. We're all going to burn to death. Everything's awful. Well, in that case, why on earth did he fly an aide 10,000 miles to Brazil to check out a luxury hotel for COP30? And what's going on here?
How dare you complain? Aren't you lucky just to be here?
OK, so on my panel tonight, journalist and broadcaster Christo Fufas Royalty. There it is. Look at it. There we are, yes. We've got GBNews presenter Miriam Cates. We've got Labour MP Barry Gardner. Hey. And businessman and activist, the housewife's choice, is Adam Brooks. Yes. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Has anyone seen Sir Keir Starmer's spine? Next.
Very good evening. The top story from the newsroom tonight. Sir Keir Starmer has said his welfare reforms strike the right balance after making concessions to backbench MPs. The government has now reversed plans to make it harder for people to claim personal independence payments, applying stricter criteria only to new claimants. Existing recipients of the health element of universal credit will see their payments rise in line with inflation. Despite the changes, some MPs are still unhappy with concerns over what they describe as a two-tier system and cuts to disability benefits. In the United States, Donald Trump is calling the Supreme Court's recent ruling a major victory after it restricted judges' ability to block presidential orders. The decision clears the path for his controversial birthright citizenship ban to be implemented in just 30 days. In an extended briefing today, Trump praised the ruling as a significant win for the Constitution and criticised radical left judges for challenging his presidential authority. Back here at home, Marcus Monzo, a 37-year-old man, has been jailed for life for murdering schoolboy Daniel Angerin with a samurai sword. Monzo's defence argued his mental state was affected by drugs, but prosecutors rejected this, calling it no excuse for murder. He also injured 5 others, including 2 police officers, during a 20-minute rampage in April last year. He was found guilty of attempted murder, wounding with intent and carrying an offensive weapon. Well, Daniel's parents say that their son had so much potential and was taken in a way that no family should ever have to endure.
No verdict or sentence can bring back our son Daniel, who we loved so dearly, but we are grateful that justice has been served. Daniel was taken from us in a way that no family should ever have to endure. His life had so much potential ahead. He was gifted academically, was kind, and had a generous spirit that touched everyone who knew him. We carry that light with us, even in this dark time.
4 people have been arrested by counter-terror police after a break-in at RAF Brize Norton where military planes were sprayed with red paint. Footage posted by pro-Palestine group Palestine Action showed activists targeting an RAF Voyager jet engine using a scooter and fire extinguishers. 3 suspects were arrested under the Terrorism Act, while a 4th woman is being held for assisting an offender. The government now plans to prescribe Palestine Action, making support for the group illegal. France has agreed to take back some Channel migrants in a new one-in, one-out deal with the UK. For every illegal migrant arriving here, 1 will be returned. It's the first agreement of its kind aimed at stopping repeat crossings and cracking down on smuggling gangs. The Home Secretary is expected to unveil that plan next week. And amber heat health alerts are now in force across much of England as the country is facing its second heat wave of the summer so far. Temperatures are set to soar into the 30s this weekend, peaking on Monday when Wimbledon opens. Highs expected of 35 degrees in London and Cambridge. That could make it the hottest start of the tournament so far. Meanwhile, festival goers at Glastonbury can, well, expect dry skies, sunshine and potentially tropical nights as the heatwave rolls into next week. That's the news on GB News. Plenty more still to come right here. Don't go anywhere.
Yes, hello everybody, and hello to my wonderful live studio audience. This is the best one yet. I say it every week, but they really are the best one yet. It's great. So, the big news today is that Sir Keir Starmer said he now deeply regrets his Island of Strangers comments. I don't know about you, but I think it's just about the only thing he's ever said that I've agreed with, actually.
We risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together.
We need to remember why he said it. So it came after Labour got a kicking at the local elections. He said that it was because people are sick and tired of, well, things like terrorists, rapists, murderers coming to Britain, isn't it? Freeloaders, rapid cultural change. And actually, if you look at the latest opinion polls, it proves that the biggest issue... I'll get out of the way of this one, there we go. The biggest issue, so you can have a look at it at home there. The biggest issue for everyone is immigration. So it's the highest one, 51%. So it's the most important issue for people. Now, Sir Keir Starmer wanted you to believe that he was the man to bring down immigration, all right? Well, today, he says, actually, he regrets saying that we are an island of strangers. He didn't realise that Enoch Powell had said something like loosely like that. But he also said that neither did his speechwriters. And there's something quite telling in that, isn't there, really? So he doesn't write his own speeches, and the people who do write his speeches don't bother to check, and maybe he doesn't read them before he actually says them out loud to people. It's not a great look, really, all in all, this, is it, to be honest with you? You know, he doesn't really have any conviction on anything, does he? This man, I think, would need a focus group to decide what ice cream he wants. And then, you know, he keeps saying stuff like this, doesn't he?
And let me be clear. But I want to be crystal clear. And I've been absolutely clear. But I'm very clear in my own mind. I've been absolutely clear. But I'm always clear.
He's not clear on anything, is he? And he keeps saying this.
Change, change, change. Change, 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 change. Change, change, change.
Change. The only thing he's capable of changing is his own mind, isn't it? And you know who was actually... This will take you back, right? Do you know who was actually spot on about Sir Keir Starmer?
So, as ever, you say one thing here, but your track record says something completely different, and you can't be trusted to tackle immigration.
So, today, Sir Keir Starmer said he regrets the Island of Strangers comments. Do you have any faith that he will cut immigration? Does anyone here have any faith he'll cut immigration? Do you think he wants to? No, there's not a lot of yeses going on there. Right, let's go to my panel. Has anyone got the microphone? Yep. Hello, sir. How are you? What's your name? Where are you from?
Hello, Michael from Wigan.
From Wigan?
I am indeed, yes.
Nice. You've got strong northern representation here tonight. I love it. Go on, what would you like to say?
So, we've obviously seen the U-turn comes today. And we've also heard this ludicrous statement about one in, one out with France. Macron must be beside himself with joy that we hear this. I mean, we're a year into this hopeless, useless Labour government. They've got no intentions about doing anything about legal or illegal immigration. We knew at the election they didn't have a plan, but it's now coming to fruition. I want to know what the panel think about Labour's so-called plan and what they're actually going to do about it, because it's a #1 concern, certainly where I live in Wigan, and people want action.
Okay. Just before, good stuff. Before we go to the panel, sir, stand back, because I want to ask you, if you don't mind. So, in Wigan, right, where you hang out, you said that. So immigration for you is the #1 issue, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's when you go in the pubs, when you talk to people, it's the thing that really exercises people because they're absolutely fed up with it.
I imagine Wigan, historically, it should be kind of Labour, shouldn't it?
Traditionally, it always has been. Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
and they still rule the roost, but there's a hard rain coming for them.
Right, interesting. Well, Joe, interesting stuff. Thank you very much, mate. Great stuff. Thank you. Well done.
Actually, John Curtis this week, there was a really interesting report from him saying that what we all knew, that now Labour, it was reported in one of the newspapers this week, that Labour now, there is no more traditional sort of Labour being working class. Class is no longer the thing that Labour can rely on. It's age and it's sort of more sort of social station education rather than class itself, meaning that this idea that sort of it's all elite Londoners is there. Now, with Starmer...
Island of Strangers.
So, according to Keir Starmer, he hadn't read the speech, so then he didn't know what was in the speech. But then he said the speech, but then he repeatedly said to us he didn't regret what was in the speech, before then saying now that he didn't mean to say what was in the speech, and that actually he didn't believe what was in the speech all along.
Yeah, it's clear.
I'm done. I'm going. I just can't anymore. What are we supposed to say to that?
It's clear. He's a weasel. Keir Starmer is a weasel of a man. Look, at the end of the day, they say island of strangers. It's more like a government full of strangers. They have nothing in common with us at all, the plebs. And that's what they treat us like. That speech that he said about the island of strangers resonated with tens of millions of people in this country. Actually, I stood back and thought, hang on, is he going to do something about this now? And he's just proven that not only is he a liar, but he's a fraud as well. Look, you do not stop illegal immigration by getting rid of legislation that makes it illegal to cross the channel. You do not stop illegal immigration by taking our only deterrent away without something to replace it. There is a plan here, and I don't know what it is, but they're not incompetent, they're dangerous.
OK, all right. Lots to come back to there. So Barry, the Island of Strangers speech, it was a big day, wasn't it? We have to take our minds back to the full context of that. So, you know, kicking in the local elections, he's come out, he's grasped it. By the looks of things, he's there saying, I finally grasped it, I get you. And then now he's here today saying, actually, I really regret it. That's a problem for people, I think.
Let me start off by addressing a friend from Wigan and what you said, sir. Because net migration is down. It is. And the number of deportations is up. And 5 at least, that was the last time I looked, which was about 10 days ago, of the hotels have been closed. So the idea that there's no plan, nobody's doing anything about immigration, I'm afraid, again, that may be the feel, and it's certainly what is pushed by Adam and others.
1 second. Record numbers are crossing the channel. Please don't let Barry try and fluff this up.
Yeah, and you see, you're quite right, and it's a problem, and I always acknowledge that, Adam. But it's a tiny part of net migration into this country. It's about 3% of net migration into this country. So if we want to look at immigration as a whole, which is what you said, sir, then actually we need to see what the record actually is.
Well, 50,000 out of 500 is 10%, let's say. Let's just pick figures out of the air. So it's a lot more than that.
The statistics are off tonight, Barry, I've got to say. I don't know where you're getting them, they're off.
Well, look, I'm telling you that... Do you disagree with the fact that net migration is down? No, you don't.
Well, no, hang on a second.
Do you disagree with the fact
a lot of people around the world are looking at this country and thinking, I don't want to go there. Look at the state of it.
And also, sadly, it's millionaires leaving. That's the problem as well.
There's a lady there who wants to go on, come in, and then I'll let you come back to it. Go on.
So I'd just like to say, net migration, is that not the net of a big figure and a smaller figure? So some in, some out. So it could be a lot more in. And some of the people going out, well, we don't know the reasons and we don't know who they are. But also, what about the numbers that we're not recording? So
like
what about the people,
illegals.
Illegals.
Like people
so,
we don't know who are.
You know, we feel there's more, so it's probably the people that aren't on the record.
Well, more millionaires have left the UK than in history, so that's who's leaving.
Just to be clear what net does mean, net migration being down means that more people are going out of the country than are coming in.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So
my point.
But that's not the case, is it? More people are coming into the country than going out.
No, they're not. That's exactly what I'm saying. Net migration...
Pardon, Barry?
Net migration...
More people are leaving this country than coming in... Really?
No.
Yes.
But if they
Because
are...
otherwise net migration would be negative.
Exactly.
And net migration is positive.
Barry, who
Net
is giving you these statistics? Is it a person that writes Starmer's speeches?
If 1 million come in, if 1 million come in and 400,000 leave, you have net migration of 600,000.
Increasing.
Well, that's about the figure. I mean, we had a peak of 900,000.
Net migration has gone down. That's my point.
Year on year, it's gone down, but it's still a very large...
We still have about 500,000 people a year coming to Britain.
So more people are coming into this country than leaving. Is that not a fact, Barry?
But the rate of change is changing.
Down.
But that's, anyway.
It's down year on year, but there's still a very good...
Back to being a maths teacher.
Anyway, right, so look, so Miriam, just on the pure politics of Keir Starmer saying that he now regrets the island of strangers comments. What do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I'm personally disappointed because, just like Adam, I felt when he made that speech, finally he's getting it. Even if he personally is not that concerned about immigration, finally he's understanding that this resonates with the public. And I thought, the blue Labour lot have finally got their moment. Maurice Glassman and Morgan McSweeney have finally kind of taken control, which pleased me greatly. But I think to say both that he no longer meant it and he didn't mean to say it, I think is a bit ridiculous. It doesn't sound like... We all know that busy politicians have their speeches written for them, and that's not a problem. That's always happened. They have researchers, they have teams of professionals. Of course they do. But to admit that he didn't read it beforehand, then to say that he did agree with it and then change his mind, that's a very misjudged interview to give, I think. But the original question was, does the Labour Party intend to bring migration down? Well, surely they must, because they look at the polls, they look at what people think, they look at the migration figures. They must know politically, even if they don't believe in it, that they've got to do it. But so far, there isn't a plan.
I just think we're going to have to move on now, but I do think just on that idea about, I didn't read the speech, and it's not an excuse. Like, if I come to air and I mess up, which, believe it or not, does happen occasionally, and I mess up, and I go, oh, sorry, guys, I had no idea what was coming up on my show. I had no idea. Does that wash with anyone, really?
And especially as he's meant to be Mr. Forensic. He's meant to be Mr. Forensic. That's what the left sold him to us as, and he's not.
And also, when you are sort of a journalist or a speaker, you sort of learn to read ahead a little bit as well as you're reading. So did he not know it was coming up?
That is quite hard on an auto cue because you see so few words at a time. When you've got a whole speech...
On that note, ready? Sorry, we're out of time. So today, Sir Keir Starmer said he regrets the island of strangers' comments. Oh no, I've done that bit already. There you go. You see, I can probably just about pass that off as deliberate, guy, even though it wasn't. Anyway, right, how could I forget this? It's time for the Great British Giveaway. It's your chance to... Oh, look at that, they love it. 54,321 quid in cold hard. But who wants to meet the bloke who won the motorhome? Yeah! OK, he's not here, but maybe next week we will. Anyway, but I'll tell you what, I've got someone else you've never met before. It's Hayley Sparks.
We're here at Down Hall in Essex to enjoy the finer things in life. And it's your chance to win £54,321 in cash. It's like having an extra £1,000 in your bank account each week for a whole year. Which means that you'd be able to indulge in treats whenever you wanted to. That extra cash each week could send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing this year to enable you to sit back, relax and do nothing. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Welcome back. So, coming up in just a moment, guess what he's done?
The answer is blowing in the wind.
Oh, I'll reveal Ed Miliband's latest net zero hypocrisy. Stay tuned.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Bishopsthorpe Road, it's on the verges of York City Centre, and it was once crowned the best high street in Britain, but there is a new issue facing it, and that is?
The cost of parking. It's increased by, wait for it, 500%.
And they've done that overnight without consultation, right?
Yeah.
So it now costs £4.85 an hour, right? And what's that going to do? It's going to stop people visiting.
It's going to drive people away.
Anna, it's not easy to get around York, I have to say. You know, one road in, one road out type thing, congestion around the place. Yes, there's car parking spaces, but goodness me, I mean, this is obviously very, very controversial, and these are the sort of taxes, indirect taxes, that come on all of us. It's now going to cost us so much money just to get there, just to see there. Tell us more.
That's right, Eamon, and the City of York Council have introduced this to try and reduce congestion, to try and get more people on buses.
Extra things like this just mean that it's been unprepared, but also it just adds up, and it then stops you from doing other things. And then, you know, for people that haven't got enough money to eat and to look after their kids and things, I think it's disgusting, to be honest.
Thank you for speaking with us this morning, Karen. Really appreciate it. The council say that they are going to review these charges. They're going to look at them every 3, 6 and 9 months and start engaging with the local community to just see how fair these prices are.
OK, Anna Riley.
Where are you parked this morning, Anna?
We're parked here, £22.50 it's cost us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Live studio audience, you love to see it. Now, do you remember when Ed Miliband said this?
The message from government is we've got to build this energy infrastructure for energy security, for good jobs, for lower bills, and indeed to tackle the climate crisis.
Got a high-vis jacket on, you know he means business, don't you? There he is. Tackle the climate crisis, he said. Well, is approving a 10,000-mile round-trip flight for a civil servant just so he can scout out your luxury hotel in Brazil for the climate summit. Is that tackling the climate crisis? Well, that's what the Energy Secretary did, greenlighting a 46-hour taxpayer-funded journey to Brazil. I mean, how did we find this out, by the way? Any ideas? The bloke put it on LinkedIn like a complete and utter numpty. The civil servant posted about it, describing it as an incredible experience. Well, I bet it was, mate, and we all paid for it, didn't we? You enjoy your caipirinhas, did you, on the beach there? Fantastic, you're welcome. And now, when he took office as well, until April, Ed Miliband racked up at least 44,600 air miles, giving him a carbon footprint 12 times higher than the average bit. Absolutely insane. There's a chap on the front row with the microphone here. Are you about to say something about Ed Miliband?
Yeah, I mean, Ed Miliband, I'm kind of pleased he didn't become Prime Minister, but I didn't think it could get any worse, by the way. But looking at what he's done, I mean, I think people worry about these kind of politicians. It's great to spend our money on this kind of vanity lifestyle, as do a lot of people in this net zero project. We just want somebody running the energy discussion in our country that absolutely knows what he's talking about, and probably needs someone that stays here and tells us why.
Do you care about net zero?
I really care about that we may be doing the wrong things. We may be taking the wrong policies. So it's great flying around the world. But, for example, I was talking to someone today who knows a little bit, and he said it may cost more in energy to produce solar panels than we actually recover when we put them out.
Right.
In Great Britain, due to our climate.
So essentially, your fear is that we're being run by idiots.
Well, I think so.
Yeah,
you can put words into my mouth.
That's probably fair enough.
You're not far wrong.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well done, sir. Thank you very much. Go on, Adam.
Look, they're not just idiots, they're dangerous idiots. We are being run by elites that think it's OK to fell hundreds of thousands, if not millions of trees to make a road for COP30. That's what they've done in the Amazon rainforest. They've cut down that many trees just for this meeting, when they could do it, if they're that bothered about the climate, they could do this on Zoom. Let's remember, COP30 is renowned for prostitutes and debauchery. Right. I'm just saying, that is the elites for you. They tell us
like
not...
Davos.
Right, yes. What? They tell us not to fly.
COP30 hasn't happened yet.
No, but the COP events. But they tell us not to fly, not to eat meat, yet they do it themselves. Again, it all comes down to one rule for them and one rule for us. Climate change is to tax us into oblivion and to control us. It's the biggest con of our lifetime, and these people are mocking us with things like this.
All right. Well. Sorry, what was the event that was well known for you were talking about?
You told me about it.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I've sent you all the details. OK, I absolutely agree with what you said, and it's exactly the same as again. I'm sorry to mention him again. I know he's your friend Barry, but Sadiq Khan being driven around London in a 5-litre, £176,000 Range Rover, whilst telling us all that we need to use bike lanes. It's when they do all of these conferences and you see more private jets in the local airports than anything else. It's practising what you preach, and you're right. Unless you take people on board with you, unless you have people say, right, OK, we are leading by example, people just tune out or don't care anymore.
Well,
so you don't.
Go on, Barry. I mean, look, Ed Miliband here is, it's the hypocrisy again, isn't it? Or not? Does he need somewhere to stay?
Look, can we just be clear? There are always people who go from government ahead of conferences. What they do is they don't just do the logistics about where people are going to stay, and if there's, when you're having this meeting, is there going to be a meeting room big enough to accommodate it and all of that. They're also speaking with the Sherpas from the other side. They're having those pre-negotiations. They're doing all of that. This is not just about, let's try and find the best hotel, OK? But there's a more fundamental question. If you believe what Adam said, you have to believe that the finest scientists in America, in Europe, in China, in Russia, have all got together and agreed this conspiracy against common people.
The biggest funded scientists in the world.
No. The government scientists, because they all come together and they produce the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports, and that is very clear. Global warming is real.
So why would they allow 1 million trees to be felled just for this COP30 event?
Look, that was, in my view, Adam, that was stupid and wrong, and it's precisely giving fuel to the sort of lunacy that you're talking about. The idea that anybody thinks that China, Russia, the Middle East, all agree
they were
that
all wrong
climate
about
change
COVID.
is real and happening, and yet it's some appalling conspiracy.
Okay, well,
just work it out.
Well, one minute.
Do you really
What did you
think
say, Miriam?
that all of them are going to crowd together and come to that?
Because all governments want more money and more control.
Miriam, what did you say there?
I said they were all wrong about COVID. And one of the problems that you have when there is this global consensus without any challenge, or it's very difficult to challenge, is they do often turn out to be wrong. Now, I do think man-made climate change is a thing, but I don't think it's existential, and I don't think it's worth bankrupting ourselves, and particularly bankrupting poor people over. I don't think it's the biggest problem we face. I think the biggest problem we face is birth rate collapse, and actually the population of the globe is going to fall very quickly after 2080 and rapidly collapse. So climate change will no longer be the biggest problem that we face at all. So should we be mindful of our environment? Should we care for the planet? Yes. Should we go to extreme lengths to virtue signal over how we're doing it and use untested technologies that perhaps are worse for the planet than the ones that we have? No, that's daft. And I think we just need to be pragmatic about this. Climate change is a real thing. Of course, we should protect the planet. And everybody wants clean air and everybody wants clean rivers. They are good things. But should we be throwing everything at going to COP30? No, that's just daft.
And I think... And I think we just have to remind ourselves that if Ed Miliband is the answer, we've got the wrong question.
Yeah.
Right, OK.
Sorry.
And at this moment in time, what Christo would like to do, when we always talk about Ed Miliband, is tell us this story.
That you can actually, sir, on the front row, thank my father, who's watching at home, for the fact that Ed Miliband is not Prime Minister, because it was my father that sold him the bacon sandwich. Hey! I'm Dad's Cafe. Hello, Dad. Hello, Dad. And, so my dad saved us from that madness.
OK, all right, brilliant stuff. Well, I now have to read this. A Department for Energy and Net Zero spokesperson said it is in Britain's national self-interest to attend international summits. Any carbon footprint is dwarfed by the carbon prize of delivering our agenda. The health and safety of our staff whilst attending these events is paramount.
What do you think a carbon prize looks like? Is it like a trophy made of coal?
Yeah. Why is a carbon prize, I wonder?
It's a con.
Oh, OK. Well, you get no prize. Yeah, that's what could be what it is. Well, maybe, I'll tell you what, it would be interesting to see how many people would enter the Great British Giveaway if we just gave away a carbon prize, wouldn't it? Congratulations, on your behalf, we'll plant 1,000 trees in the Amazon rainforest. No entrance, anyway. Right, coming up. Oh, yeah, this is good. Is Britain worth fighting for today? People, seriously, no one here would fight for modern Britain, would you? Grief. OK, well, let's find out why when I come back.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Temperatures are likely to be 5 to 10 degrees above the average for June across parts of France and Spain. Very hot conditions persisting here. A bit of a breeze, but also temperatures above average in the Canaries, getting over 30 degrees for the next few days. Highs over 32 across Italy. Plenty of hot and sunny weather here. A few showers across mainland parts of Greece, but most of the Greek islands have turned a little bit cooler with some pleasant sunshine here and plenty more sunshine to come around the Mediterranean into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office. Here on GB News, the weekend we'll see some pretty warm conditions, particularly so across the south and east of England. Humid nights and high temperatures by day. It's not going to be hot and sunny everywhere, however. There will be cloud and rain at times across the north from these weather fronts. They've been bringing pretty wet conditions across the highlands today. This zone of rain slowly trickling southwards. Most of the rain overnight will be over hills and around coasts in the west. Many central and eastern parts will stay dry. Still quite breezy out there as well, and it is going to be a pretty warm night with temperatures holding up in the mid to high teens. Overall, a pretty grey start then to Saturday, but the rain will be clearing away to the south, so the highlands in particular having a drier, brighter day. Further south, we'll start off with a lot of cloud. We should start with some sunny spells over the east, but quite grey and murky for southwest England and Wales, particularly around coast and again some drizzly rain over the hills. Maybe a bit of a damp start for Belfast and Edinburgh, but that rain is edging away to the south, and much of northern Scotland having a far brighter day tomorrow. Still quite blustery. In fact, if anything, the wind's strengthening further over the far northwest, where there will be 1 or 2 showers. But through the central belt of Scotland, the east of Northern Ireland, that rain should edge to the south, so some sunny spells coming through. I suspect Cumbria may well stay dull with rain and drizzle, especially over the hills and mountains here on and off through the day. But for many places, it'll brighten up, and certainly over the Midlands, East Wales and Eastern England, those temperatures jumping up, getting into the high 20s, low 30s is possible. Sunday, similar temperatures across the east, a very warm, humid start. Again, a lot of cloud for Cumbria, some drizzly rain here in the Isle of Man, and maybe some drizzle at times for Northern Ireland, so cloudier skies here. Generally fine for Scotland, but with increasing cloud, with increasing sunshine in the south, more humidity, temperatures again getting up to 30 degrees. Hotter still across the southeast, in particular on Monday.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Fantastic to have such a wonderful live studio audience with us this evening. Well, something big is coming.
Nuclear threat is growing. So we are renewing our existing at-sea capability, and we are going still further. I can tell the House today that we will procure at least 12 F-35A fast jets, and we will make them available to bear nuclear weapons if necessary. Mr. Speaker, this marks the return of the Royal Air Force to nuclear deterrence for the first time.
Yeah, relentless talk of nuclear war, although I think it would have bored us to death before Putin decides to strike us. But anyway, preparations are already underway in the UK for nuclear war, apparently. Do you know, and listen closely because the microphones aren't great in the studio, do you know what this is?
Christys.
For a second week in a row. Is there anything? Can we play that again? Can everyone hear that? Can we play? What is that? What is that? Well, anyone got any guesses as to what that noise is about? No? Nothing? All right. So the UK is going to test its emergency alarm system for the first time in a couple of years, with all of your phones, apparently, going to emit a loud alarm tone later this year. So they're doing a dry run for what would happen if we were about to get nuked. Your phone's going to go off, and it's going to go, this is a test, but it's going to tell you that you're all going to die. So that's nice, isn't it? We're also seeing headlines about conscription. Brits are being warned that we must prepare for war, must prepare. So Sir Keir Starmer seems to want you to fight for him. But is Britain really worth fighting for, do you think? Christo?
Oh, no, I don't know if you knew, but Keir Starmer didn't know that the word nuclear was going to be in that speech. He hadn't read it beforehand, unfortunately, and he regrets that now. I just want to say U-turn completely, and yeah, he meant to say something else. I think that what this will end up demonstrating is that I think all of the years that we have spent in this country talking about how terrible it is, how awful it is, how much prejudice there is, how divided we are, there's no opportunity, there's no way anyone will get on the housing ladder. I think this will come back to bite us on the backside, because now those very young people, we're all going to say to them, oh, by the way, though, you know, this terrible place we've all been telling you about for years. Yeah, you need to go and fight for it. Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. No one's going to do it.
Who is going to fight as well at the end of the day? You know, the kind of people that have been demonised for years. I honestly do think that it'll be a load of lads from places like Carlisle, Leeds, you know, places like Essex, the kind of people that have been demonised.
The far right.
Yeah, it'll be people that we've been told are far right, who, when push comes to shove, they'll be like, all right, I'll fight then. Yeah. And then it's like, well, everyone else can swivel.
Patrick, it's always the Scots and the Welsh that are in the forefront.
Again,
my friend from Glasgow, I'm sure, will bear out.
Glasgow, well done, mate. Yes.
But, it is the poor communities that are always at the forefront, the poor bloody infantry. But look, we've got to be serious. We have a war in Europe now for the first time since the end of the Second World War. And it's on our doorstep. And, you know, we can't wish Vladimir Putin just didn't exist. We can't ignore the fact that he's bombing kids in Ukraine. This is a serious situation.
Yeah, Sir Keir Starmer is currently deciding to prosecute Northern Ireland veterans, though, Barry, isn't he? So why would you want to fight for a guy who, in 10 years' time, might decide to put you up for a murder charge?
And that is why they're leaving in droves, Patrick. Look,
I know it's not your fault, Barry, but it's
look, if there was a conscription, I would fight for this country if I thought someone was going to invade. I would protect my family like I would in any situation. I'm a bit too old to be conscripted now, to be fair, but if I was called up to go and fight in Ukraine, I would refuse. And that is because I believe our government hates people like me. I wouldn't want to fight for people that hate me. If Keir Starmer wants to start conscripting young people, let him send his own kid first before our kids, because my kid is 16. There is no way in a few years' time he's getting conscripted and being sent to a foreign land to be slaughtered in the name of Keir Starmer. It's not happening.
But nobody's talking about conscription, OK?
Well, that's what the story's about.
They have in the past, though. It was discussed.
Well, we would have to conscript if we went to war. I mean, there would be no choice.
And what happens to the 2 million illegal immigrants that are in this country?
We've been involved in a war, you know, since the Second World War, and we haven't conscripted.
No, but Barry, if there was a threat of invasion of
invasion, yes, of course.
Then you would have to.
Nobody is saying that there is an imminent threat of invasion in this country. What's been talked about is improving our defences, because what we do know is that if we have strong defences, then we are much less likely to be in a position where there is a war, because the enemy knows that if there were, we would win. And that's the point.
I want to bring in a member of the audience here on the front row. Go on, sir. What would you like to say on all this, then?
Yeah, I just want to say, sort of like, we had World War II, which our parents and grandparents fought for, and there was a purpose. They knew the purpose, what they were fighting for. If we had the younger generation being asked to go and fight a war for us, I don't think they know what they were fighting for. And I think the Prime Minister we have at the moment, no disrespect to Barry, is just out of touch with the nation.
Completely.
There's a concern, is there, in the room, that we don't have a strong national identity anymore? Is that the thing?
Yeah. I think that is a really big part of it, and that's fair. But I think it's also worth remembering, in the 1930s, there's a big anti-war movement. In 1933, there's a very famous debate at Oxford University. Would this House fight for the country? It lost. And yet, of course, when the time came in 1939, people did sign up. I think the bigger problem is actually the fact that we're completely financially and materially unequipped to fight a war. And because since the end of the Cold War, we've spent our peace dividend, we've spent the amount of money that we used to spend on defence, on welfare, and on other things, and we're now completely unable to rebuild our fighting force, partly because our country is so in debt, we just don't have the money to do it, but also because we're completely deindustrialised. We can't build the bombs, we can't build the planes, we can't build the tanks, because China builds everything for us now, and I think that's actually the bigger problem in the short term, is how would we ramp up a more war machine?
I just feel as if there's something psychological going on there. I mean, yesterday there was a story, the Church of England is preparing to go on a war footing. The Church of England is preparing to be a parish in the time of conflict. I mean, by the way, I don't even know what that means, but I mean, they're doing it. We've got alarms going on. Yeah, once they've paid the reparations, exactly. It's the madness of it, isn't it? What kind of lunacy?
We've printed our money away, whereas the Americans haven't, and now they've got an army and we haven't.
We used to know, I think, back in the Second World War, I think that you've hit the nail on the head. I think as a nation, we had an identity, there was a pride in Britain, people knew what they were fighting for, whereas nowadays, I don't think they know what Britain is.
Now, we've got a weaker generation. You know, how many identify as another sex now? How many, you know, it's crazy how soft these generation are. They're never going to fight.
You boy, go and fight. No, that's not my pronoun. That's not my pronoun.
Patrick, there's another problem that comes up when I speak about this online. We've got 2 million illegal immigrants in this country. Do you really think a father would leave their daughters at home while these immigrants stay in this country and live it up amongst our women and our kids while we're going out and getting slaughtered abroad? No chance. And that is why no one will go if they're conscripted.
We're shaking your head, Barry, go on.
What did I say wrong there, Barry? Would these illegal immigrants fight for this country?
OK, let's just remember what happened in the Second World War. Do you know how many million people from India fought on our side?
They weren't living here, Barry.
Hang on, in the Second World War.
They weren't living here.
Have you been... Many of them were, actually, and they came and
they weren't living here, Barry.
Sorry. These are people who believe, just as you and I do, in the values of freedom, in the values of freedom of speech, in the values of liberty.
But the 2 million illegal immigrants don't hear.
To fight. I mean, that's not quite the same.
I'm sorry. If you go to the gates that are just there on as you come off the Mall by Buckingham Palace, you've got all of the Commonwealth who sent.
But they were in our empire abroad.
100 years ago. 100
It's not 100 years ago. This was the Second World War, right?
80 years. Do you really think those coming over from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and that are going to fight for this country? Don't be silly. They're going to stay here, get their benefits while we're fighting for them.
All right. Well, look, the reason why I'm trying to nip this in the bud is because I want to leave time for many people the favourite part of the show, and it is Greatest Britain Union Jackass. So get ready to get voting, everybody. I'll see you in a tick.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Sally first. How can this be good?
I'm not sure if it's good, but I wouldn't say it's bad. I would defend everyone's choice to, if they can afford it, send their child to whatever care facility that they choose. And I think when you're talking about very young preschool children, there's an awful lot of life ahead of them where, you know, they can learn that life isn't always going to shower you with rose petals and tasting menus. If it suits the parents, if it suits the child, why not? And we are talking about a very small sector of society who, A, can afford this sort of option with your preschool childcare, and it's for a very short time. So there's obviously a market for it. They've come all the way over from Singapore to set this up. It's their first outpost in the UK. So, yeah, good luck. If there's a gap in the market, fill it.
I know I'm a mother of 4 and I've got my own business, and even when we sit down for tea at night, I'm still on my phone, I'm still emailing. So for me, it's kind of like, I'm wondering if these parents are working 24/7 and they're trying to offset the guilt because they're really time poor with the kids. I mean, I've got 4 boys and I do think I naturally pamper them because I don't know about you, Stephen, but when I was growing up, I was constantly told I didn't even know I was born, whatever that means. And so it's like, I think each generation we pamper our kids even more, you know?
But Davinia, when you're sitting down with your kids having dinner, are you giving them a crisp golden spanakopita pita with refreshing tzatziki, followed by smoky jambalaya studded with free-range chicken and prawns? Or are they getting beans on toast?
Funnily enough, Stephen, that's a no.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Flown by tonight. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a fantastic show. We round ourselves off, don't we, with Greatest Britain and Union Jackass, and we're going to need a bit of audience participation for this. So let's start with Greatest Britain, OK? And I'm being told that I'm starting with Christo.
Oh, Greatest Britain, I'm going to go with John and Amy Hunt. John Hunt, of course, is the BBC racing commentator, and he gave an interview this week with his daughter Amy about how they are essentially trying to move on with their lives after the horrific murder of their family by that awful person with a crossbow. I'm not going to name him. And it was just the most inspirational interview. It was amazing.
OK, well, strong start. OK, Miriam, who's your Greatest Britain, please?
Well, it's not British, but I hope you'll...
Honouring, we're allowed honouring?
It's the US State Department. They've given a slap down to the British government for approving state-sponsored suicide and said that, you know, it's bad news, which I think is a great thing to say. However, they don't seem to have noticed that 12 US states do have assisted suicide. But anyway, I think we should take the rap.
All right, fair enough. One criticism I will make is it's not particularly light-hearted so far. All right? I'll just say that. But fine. Hey, you're allowed to say what you want to say. Who am I going to next, gallery? Barry! OK, Barry, who's your Greatest Britain?
I rather like Christo's, actually, I have to tell you. But my Greatest Britain this week is the Parliamentary Labour Party for finally finding its voice and standing up against the cuts to personal independence payments.
Oh, I see. Right, OK. Right. Which you obviously would have rebelled against, definitely, if you were given the chance. I know it, but anyway, whatever. But he's saying, no, he doesn't have to say. We all know. Anyway, go on, Adam, who's your Greatest Britain?
Mine is honorary. It's Donald Trump, because I believe what he's done over the last 10 days has stopped World War III. I think we need more no-nonsense leaders in the world like him. He might not say it how some people like it, but he's direct, and I think we're safer for it.
OK. All right. I'm going to lob one into the mix here, and I'm going to get in loads of trouble when I get home for doing this, because today I basically met my as-yet unborn child, and I've got a really close-up picture of him. There you go. Oh, well, and he takes after his mum because he's got a heartbeat. So that's nice. But right, OK, who do you? I will exclude my child from this. Who do we go? We've got. Sorry, who? What were the names?
John and Amy Hunt.
John and Amy Hunt. Anyone?
Yes.
The US for railing against British suicide bills. Yep. Oh, please tell that for you, Miriam. Sorry about that. Go on, Barry. Who was yours again?
The Parliamentary Labour Party.
We know that's going to go. Right. Okay.
No one claps.
So, go on, Donald Trump. It's a very close friend thing, but I think we'll go for Christos. OK, right. Union Jackass time now. So, Christo.
OK, I'm going to go for Nadia Hussain, who was the Great British Bake Off winner. And she's had a cookery show dropped by the BBC. And she said a couple of weeks ago, look, the BBC doesn't support Muslim women like me. And she got a bit of shtick for this.
Yeah.
Now she's doubled down on a new video. I'm not sure we're going to show a quick clip of it, but saying she doesn't need to be grateful and implying that it's racist to say that she does.
We got the clip.
Received tons of messages since talking about my situation with the BBC. Messages from people telling me to be grateful for the opportunity and be thankful for how far I've come. Like, how dare you complain? Aren't you lucky just to be here? But here's what I've come to understand. I'm allowed to feel more than just thankful.
OK, so, yeah, you don't need to be grateful, Nadia, for being on the British Bake Off, the Chronicles of Nadia TV show, Nadia's British Food Adventure, Nadia's Favourites, Nadia's Party Feast, Nadia's Aging Odyssey, Nadia's Time to Eat, Nadia's Bakes. These are all TV shows she presented. Nadia's American Express, Nadia's Everyday Baking, Nadia's Simple Spices, Nadia's Cook Once, Eat Twice, 18 appearances on The One Show, 15 appearances on Loose Women, a column in The Times, 10 cookbooks, 6 children's books, 3 picture books and an autobiography.
And a partridge in a pear tree. Brilliant. Go on, Miriam, quickly. Sorry, quickly.
Well, apologies, Barry, but my union jackass is Labour backbenchers for refusing to vote with the national interest.
OK, good, short and sweet, lovely stuff. Barry, who's your union jackass?
My union jackass is the 3 multimillionaires who wanted to abolish taxing economic migrants and thought they could raise money for the poor by charging non-DOMs, newcomers, £250,000 until economists worked out that the net loss to the Treasury would be £34 billion. Their names, Nigel Farage, Richard Tice and Zia Youssef.
Oh, Barry, I love your hotspot. We've got 30 seconds.
My nomination is the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. Another restaurant has closed in my high street and there's another one on the way out as well. Her budget is crippling hospitality and there's going to be hundreds more thousands of jobs lost this year.
OK, right now, we've got about 5 seconds left before I have to present, and indeed want to present, Patrick Christys tonight, latest edition. But I think, shall we say, was Nadia the winner of Union Jackass? Do we think it felt like it for me? Yeah? Well done, everybody. I will see you in a few minutes' time. Thank you very much, everyone.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office. Here on GB News, the weekend we'll see some pretty warm conditions, particularly so across the south and east of England. Humid nights and high temperatures by day. It's not going to be hot and sunny everywhere, however. There will be cloud and rain at times across the north from these weather fronts. They've been bringing pretty wet conditions across the Highlands today. This zone of rain slowly trickling southwards. Most of the rain overnight will be over hills and around coasts in the west. Many central and eastern parts will stay dry. Still quite breezy out there as well, and it is going to be a pretty warm night with temperatures holding up in the mid to high teens. Overall, a pretty grey start then to Saturday, but the rain will be clearing away to the south, so the Highlands in particular having a drier, brighter day. Further south, we'll start off with a lot of cloud. We should start with some sunny spells over the east, but quite grey and murky for southwest England and Wales, particularly around coast. And again, some drizzly rain over the hills. Maybe a bit of a damp start for Belfast and Edinburgh, but that rain is edging away to the south, and much of northern Scotland having a far brighter day tomorrow. Still quite blustery. In fact, if anything, the wind's strengthening further over the far northwest, where there will be 1 or 2 showers. But through the central belt of Scotland, the east of Northern Ireland, that rain should edge to the south. So some sunny spells coming through. I suspect Cumbria may well stay dull with rain and drizzle, especially over the hills and mountains here on and off through the day. But for many places, it'll brighten up, and certainly over the Midlands, East Wales and eastern England, those temperatures jumping up, getting into the high 20s, low 30s is possible. Sunday, similar temperatures across the east, a very warm, humid start. Again, a lot of cloud for Cumbria, some drizzly rain here in the Isle of Man, and maybe some drizzle at times for Northern Ireland. So cloudier skies here. Generally fine for Scotland, but with increasing cloud, with increasing sunshine in the south, more humidity, temperatures again getting up to 30 degrees. Hotter still across the southeast, in particular on Monday.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day.